Hello and welcome to the Men's Roundtable. I'm very grateful, very humble to host this today. Also very grateful, very humble to be joined by three absolute legends. Jason's been a big mentor of mine and mentor of all of ours, actually. So we welcome Jason here. We welcome Tanner back. We're missing Matty today. He's gone to a concert or something with a buddy of his, but Bryce is back too. So welcome, gentlemen. I'm so grateful that I sent you all an email and got this happening today. There's a lot of topics we're going to discuss, and Jason, you're a big part of this now. So we welcome you here, and we'll introduce ourselves, and we'll get things going. I think men need to hear this information more and more, and the more we can push this out, the better men will be, and the better society will be, given the times we're in. So welcome, Tanner, Bryce, and Jason.
Thank you.
Who wants to go first, gentlemen? Bryce, you want to go first?
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, pleasure always to be here. Nice to see Jason on here with us this time. And, we're going through a lot of stuff that we've sort of, woven into our own lives from Jason specifically, as we're all freedom from self-sabotage trained coaches. And then we sort of, branched off into our own little facets. And I'm excited to be here and talk about all the things that I talk about in my practice, which is, distractions and trying to help men stay focused, trying to help men put good practices into place and sort of use their subconscious mind to program them for a better life.
Awesome.
You go ahead, Tanner.
Yeah. So, hey everyone, my name is Tanner Dajne. My main goal is to help as many gamers, overcome and defeat their weed addictions, because that's a really big thing that's holding people back. It held me back in my own life, and so my main goal is to really, help people understand why they're addicted. Because for the longest time, I thought I was just broken. I would tell myself I'm going to stop smoking when I was like super high. And then the next morning I find myself with a joint and, a bong in my hand again. And like, what's wrong with me? Like, people just say, oh, you just need like that determination, that willpower. But there's something more there than just that determination, willpower. It's really understanding why you're drawn to it. And so I'm excited to talk about that and, help people understand that, you're not actually broken. You're working perfectly as designed. And, I'm really grateful to have Jason on here today and always to be a part of this men's roundtable. But, Jason is a big catalyst for me in my life to understand, that I wasn't broken, to understand that, I'm working as perfectly as designed, and to understand, how to take my power back and to really step into my true adult power. So really glad to be here. And thank you, Jason.
Well, I'm really proud of all of you three men for picking up the torch and leading the charge. None of us are trying to sell anybody anything. We're just trying to say, look, the world's a little upside down right now. And what we're really trying to say is sell the idea of just being independent. Don't take our word for anything. Make sure you understand that you're going to make progress over time. Don't feel guilty. Don't beat yourself up. Don't feel shameful, but just try and take independent control of your life so that the whole community can heal. That's what we're really here to do today, is, lend some guidance to some other men and maybe help them through our own experience. Because with our experience that we have with all four of us, hopefully someone can get from A to B in a lot shorter time. I wouldn't want anybody to really go and go through the pain that I went through. So I just try and teach people the shortcuts and try and help them hotwire their own brain for a little shorter distance between the painful events.
That is actually spot on, because we try and not try, but we actually impart our wisdom and our experiences to then help, that they don't learn from our mistakes. I know for me that if I'm helping someone with their porn addiction, well, I'm not going to tell them, that I just quit it and this is how I went back to it 100 times over before I actually got it out of my system. Like, porn was a big one for me. Like, I quit everything at once, as you guys all know, and as all my listeners know, that I quit everything at once. But porn, I just kept getting drawn back to it. It's like that safety and comfort that I just seeked. And as soon as I was able to seek safety and comfort in other things, like, I don't need porn anymore. Like that was holding me back from being who I'm supposed to be. So that's just my little spiel on that one. You want to add something else, Bryce?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's, it's important for you to share your story and share kind of how you overcame it. And it really doesn't matter what the vice is, right? Whether it's alcohol or, for can video games or just distractions. I talk about that a lot. And what I'm doing in my Man on Fire program is trying to create people to be mentors for people around them. So they kind of get that feeling that what they're doing is setting an example for their son or setting an example for their best buddy who's, addicted to drinking or whatever that may be. So I think it is important, as you mentioned, that Jason always mentions that, people are working as designed. When you're in the system and you're completely, watching TV, watching movies, it's only a matter of time before you are going to be using something to distract yourself and to distract your pain or whatever that is in your life. So we kind of make that connection, I think, for people and sort of bring out the reason why they're doing that certain specific thing and how to program the subconscious at will. I mean, that's really what's important at any age of your life. It doesn't matter what you're going through or how old you are, if you're young or old, you have the capability of subjecting yourself to all the things you want as your end goal. So I help men sort of understand how to reprogram their subconscious.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite things about going through the freedom from self-sabotage coaching is that it's like that old saying of you give a man a fish and he eats for a day, but you teach him how to fish and he can eat for a lifetime. And it's the same kind of thing, right? It's just like if you're going to like therapy, yeah, you might get like some help from that therapy, but when you learn how your mind works and why you do things and then how you can actually reprogram, that just changes your life entirely. Because then anytime you need to you need to reprogram yourself, like, oh hey, I noticed that I am drawn to this vice. Well, it's probably because I'm watching this TV show, or probably because my parents did it. And then you start to have that power back, right? And I think a lot of our society leads us down like a victim mentality where we just feel powerless. Oh, everyone needs a vice, everyone, the government's doing all this stuff, but there is ways that we can take our power back and start to live as like true, in our true adult power, where we're not just children anymore who just rely on someone else to take care of us. And I think that's really, really important.
Well, yeah, men have got a really bad rap for a long time because of the repetitive mimicking that, you gentlemen were alluding to in the 1920s and 1930s. Men were destroyed through repetitive alcohol imprints. So we're carrying all that history with us how many people know these stories of an alcoholic father? I mean, you hear it all the time. You do hear of alcoholic mothers too, but there's more alcoholic fathers because we as humans mimic the most repetitive content in our environment, and the people ruling us really targeted the male in the 20s and in the 30s with this repetitive alcohol sort of consumption-based messaging. And so we're carrying as men all this negative energy. And this is another reason we as men have to come together and, reprogram the whole population that that's not who we are, that we can do better, we can be better, we can be major protectors. Like that's our cosmic role as a protector. And of course, there's many side facets to all these agendas. But making men messy and making them weak and attacking them with alcohol back in the 20s, 30s. I mean, my parents' generation, they were drinking in cars, right? Like it wasn't illegal to drink in your car. I mean, I'm showing my age there. It was illegal for me, but when my dad was a kid, you're allowed to drink in your car. And drinking was portrayed through the media in a repetitive way that drinking was cool. And so I find this is a reason that motivates me to try and turn that around, because this idea that men are sort of drunk, weak buffoons still follows us. It's not like I've quit drinking myself a long time ago, but it still follows us because the people in our society, especially the women, they don't trust the male anymore, because we've been portrayed in this light for so long. So sometimes it's good to understand that we have to contribute as a team to each other, so that we can fortify our gender as males as trustworthy, as strong, as moral or ethical, because when we get off the path, the whole society goes in the garbage.
Yeah, it's great points. And I think that's kind of, we're doing an individual thing where we are coaching individual people, but we've got something great here where we're able to sort of speak for men and to group all men in this protector role, to say, men, you can't watch movies and TV because you know what's going on and not be programmed. Like, it's a subconscious programming, right? It's exactly what it is. It's a programming under the cuff, right? So I love the idea of having a group, men in general. We're trying to group them all into this thing to say, we have to take back that power, our God-given power. So I love that message.
Especially if those in society are seeing men leading by example again, that's going to have a ripple effect on the people around us as well. To be like, hey, well, look what Nate's doing. He's completely transformed his life. Tanner's quit weed. Jason quit alcohol. Bryce has quit all these vices. Look at these men. They're doing some pretty awesome shit. I want to be like those guys. It's like we're helping society in our own little communities to say, hey, there's another way here. There's something better out there for us. And for us coming together and sharing our stuff and giving people that other way, it's powerful, because if we can do it, they can do it.
Yeah, that's something I always talk about in my podcast, where I interview people and they share their self-sabotage story. Is, it doesn't matter who you are, what you've experienced in life, that we're all really able to overcome self-sabotage. And that's really just, once you learn how this part of your mind works and you start to, I think really taking back your health is really, really important in this process. Because once you start to do research on to like health and just everything in general, you'll see that really we're getting attacked on all sides, with our health. It's in the water, it's in the food, and there's so much programming within the TV shows, within the movies, within the advertisements, that kids younger and younger are having more and more problems. You just ask yourself this question. We're the most advanced we've ever been. We have the best capacity to get foods that we've never been able to get before, and yet we're still the sickest, most diseased, most highest rates of cancer and obesity. Why is that? Well, it's because there's something fundamentally wrong with our system, and most people have no idea about it. So I think it's really important that we do bring awareness to the health topic. And I know Jason always stresses that as well, like in the coaching courses, that health is one of the number one factors. I know that was one of my first pillars of changing my life, and that's something I do definitely teach everyone who I work with, is just how important it is to take back your health and getting a clear mind. And part of that is just stop sedating yourself, right? That is, everything is connected with your mind, body, spirit. So it's really important that you look at it holistically here.
Yeah, I think the system is right, fundamentally right, if you're one of the psychopaths. And it's good for the public to know the reason everything's poisoned is because when you go to the research on brain function, the average person will respond to repetitive content in the media, and they will mimic it. But if you poison the audience, if you intoxicate them or toxify them in any way, poison them, you get many more percentage points of people complying and mimicking and mirroring the repetitive content in the media. And this group sort of knows that it doesn't matter if it's Teflon or it could be microwave food, which tests. If you eat a microwave meal and they draw your blood before and after you eat it, your blood has immune markers after you consume a microwave meal, like you've been poisoned. So it doesn't matter if it's microwave food, if you cooked it in a Teflon pan without it going in the microwave. It doesn't matter if it's a Monster Energy drink with BPA on the can lining, or just the general ingredients are toxic. If any men are wondering out there, why is everything toxic? And don't get confused because you don't live out these lies. You might believe through the propaganda that they're spraying pesticides on the food because it'll increase yields, or they don't want the bugs to eat your food. You're the bugs. You're the bugs they want to get rid of. You're the pest for the pesticide. And they'll poison you every single way they can, from mercury teeth fillings to Axe body spray. It's all toxic for a reason. And it all has to do with what we do as a living, because all the people we're dealing with, they're mimicking all this really negative content, this disempowering content that if you live it out in real time, you're going to ruin your life. They're mimicking that. That's sort of the natural design of the nervous system. But if they're toxic, it's almost impossible to not mimic it. So just for the men out there, I want them to understand sort of a 1-2 punch you're up against. You're up against media that controls your repetitive content, and your nervous system is designed to act it out outside your conscious awareness. But if they poison you, you act it out even harder. So just make sure you understand the system, although it looks complex, men, it's not. It's a 1-2 punch. It's media content that's repetitive in the opposite direction of your dreams, where you're going to take a whack-a-mole mallet and smash it over your face the rest of your life. And you'll do it more when you're poisoned. That's it. That's the whole system. I want the men to understand that.
I love your analogies. They're so good. And I mean, a question a man could ask himself is, if you are feeling like you're unhappy and you're not, you got aches and pains and your relationships aren't going well, just take a quick look around and see. There's probably a high chance that you're doing, drinking alcohol, eating fast food, not exercising. It goes hand in hand, right? So it is a really easy marker to see on men. And I agree with what Tanner said. It's the foundation. It's the foundation of the man. He needs to be building strength daily if you can, but definitely looking at all the ways that you can remove those poisons and toxins from your life.
Yeah. And I believe too, there's always emotions attached to, like the programming for you, Jason, and Bryce's age group is don't ask for help. Help's a sign of weakness. That's a big program amongst men your age. It's like, don't ask for help. It's like, well, the time is now for help. Like, there's so much alternative help out there. It's like, break free from that spell, break free from that program, and put your hand up and say, hey, I'm struggling. I'm watching porn. I'm drinking alcohol. I'm a complete human mess, as Jason calls them. Like, put your hand up and just say, hey, I need some help. It's like we all offer heaps of free advice, heaps of free stuff to be able to put you back on the path towards regaining your power, which is through your health. And then it has a ripple effect on the people around you as well, as I said before. But man, if you're Jason or Bryce's age, or even mine and Tanner's age, just put your hand up and say, hey, I need some help, and there's nothing wrong with that. And also another program too is that men have been suppressed with their emotions. We aren't allowed to cry anymore. That comes from school. That comes from parents. That comes from all these things. It's like, men, it's a sign of strength and courage, and also vulnerability through the eyes of a female to let your emotions out. Let that pain out. And if you need to hold yourself and cry, hold yourself and cry. It's so powerful. All I've done the last 3 months is cry, and it's been awesome because I've gone back and dealt with some little versions of me that existed, to then I can propel forward. But men, it's okay to cry. It's strong, it's courageous, it's bold, it's beautiful. And also, men, it's bold, beautiful, and magical to put your hand up and say, hey, I need some help. I'm struggling. So
Great message.
Yeah, I can definitely second that. You know, in my life, I know I definitely held in a lot of emotions. You know, I think that's a pretty big program with men. Like, you're not allowed to, you know, feel your emotions. You have to hide away from them. And it's not about, you know, being like some sissy little man. It's about, you know, letting yourself feel what you need to feel so you can move past it, right? Because if you're always avoiding your pain, if you're always avoiding, you know, that depression, if you're always avoiding, you know, just feeling like crap and feeling like you're not good enough in your life, well, then you're never going to address the root cause of the problem, right? And to really address that root cause of the problem, like, this is why I have I am enough written behind me, because I never felt like I was enough. I never felt like I was able to be that man who was up here talking like I am now, right? I was always that kid in front of class who was shaking and stuttering and, you know, scared to even show himself to the world. But once I started to accept myself and to actually feel my emotions, that's where things started to change. It changed in a big way, and asking for help was a major thing. I think that is a major program within men of all ages, right? Really, probably just people of all ages is not asking for help, right? It's looked down upon for some reason. But for me, and I know for, I'm sure all of you guys, and actually I know for a fact all of you guys, when you asked for help, it's changed your life dramatically, right? Every time I've asked someone else for help, every time I've gone to a mentor, my life has skyrocketed, right? I've gone from being stuck to moving forward again, to making that progress. And like Jason always says, it's not about perfection, it's about progression, and about just taking more and more steps towards that life that you do want, and not letting yourself get stagnant. And I think that's really important, to feel your emotions and to ask for help, because that was a catalyst in my life.
Yeah, and people who are nervous, anybody that's nervous out there about speaking in public, I think it was you, Tanner, didn't you just say that in front of class, you're maybe a little nervous? I mean, that's what the school system is for. And then again, working as designed. I mean, you're not going to have the passion or the confidence or the courage in the government school system to get up in front of class and talk about what they want you to talk about, because you don't believe in it. So it's going to be nerve-wracking. You're not interested in it. And of course, traditionally in tribal cultures, we didn't really get attended to with all the other kids there, because kids aren't supposed to be governing and raising kids. It was usually two grandparents for one child. And then if you have the Lord of the Flies situation in school, where you're getting literally raised by 30 other kids that are as numb to the world as you are, of course you're going to be nervous and not a good public speaker, and you're going to feel lost, because this is the design of the system. So these systems all work together to produce the self-sabotaging client that, as we say, is working as designed. And I'm really proud to work with you guys hand in hand to teach people that, yeah, don't be surprised when your life's going in the shitter, because the whole system is designed to put you in the shitter. So if you're down there and you can't make ends meet, and they're making it hard to make ends meet now, harder than ever. There's so many poisons in the food, and the poisons in your food have a response on a physiological basis to lower your testosterone. When you're poisoned as a man, your testosterone will go down, because one of your body's reactions to poison is to increase estrogen so that the poison can be sort of encapsulated in a fat cell, because poisons in fat cells are safer. So all these poisons really affect us. The whole systems really knock ourselves down into the dirt. So if anybody's out there right now and they're a male and they're having a hard time, just reach out, even get on some of our email correspondence lists, get the free information so that you can start seeing the system knocking you down. Because every system that's knocking you down right now, men, it's like it's sold to you with propaganda and mind control based methods. All these systems that knock you down, they're sold to you as something that makes you better. And until you can see the enemy at the gate, you're just going to keep opening that door and invite the vampire over the threshold. So at first, start with the free education. Invest some time in yourself with all of us or any one of us four, and you will starting to see what you have to sidestep. You have to sidestep the arrows that they throw at you every day. And again, as everybody's been saying, sidestep the poison to start. Stop sticking poison in your mouth and expecting your brain to work properly and your body to work properly. You're not going to put Pepsi as gasoline in your car. Stop putting poison in your mouth and thinking it's going to fuel your best life. You're not going to climb the mountain of success toxic. It's impossible.
Great stuff. Yeah, I mean, you couldn't be more on point there, Jason. One thing I wanted to add to that too is just the systems are set up for that sort of design of, you know, leading men specifically to a place where we go to work, we come home, we eat the bad food that's quick, convenient. We see it in the movies, we see it the billboards on the same drive home. I encourage some of my clients to even take different routes to work just to kind of get them out of that funk. But I've been seeing a lot of men that end up with depression, and it really just comes from a result of having no purpose, being toxic. Then they go to the medical system with these feelings and they get on the medication. It's just like it's like when you're in this process of what we're doing, it almost becomes laughable. I know it's not a laughable thing, but almost where it's so obvious when you start to think about it. Like someone's depressed, they can't sleep, and they give them medication that has caffeine in it that literally keeps them up at night thinking about the anxiety and the way that their life is not going. And it's just this cycle. It's almost like I call it like the last call of the herd, where the man has done some things, he's talked to a couple people, maybe a psychiatrist, and then he gets the medication, which is the final straw, you know, like as if the medication is going to all of a sudden snap him out of everything that he's being told to do. So I can't stress enough where it's just ask for help. You know, what's the worst thing that's going to happen? You're going to get some great education on how to take care of yourself, right?
Not only that, you're also getting yourself out of that fear state of vibration. Like that's the energy that they want us to be in. They want us in fear of invisible viruses and all sorts of things. They want us in that lower state of vibration, because then we're easier to be governed, ruled, and whatever else. Like we're susceptible to their attacks if we're in a state of fear all the time. And that's just not in fear of what they're doing. You might be holding on to 30 or 40 years worth of fear from when you're a child. That's still putting you in that lower state of vibration that's making you easier to rule. It's like, go back and sit with that fear. Go back and sit with that child that you need to say that you love it and that you are going to tell it a different story to the one that it's being told. Like your subconscious mind's like a supercomputer, as Tanner calls it, as we all call it. It records everything. You can go back to those moments and reparent that little child that's living in fear of being abused, living in fear of all these traumatic things. It's like you can tell it a different story. You don't have to sit in the same story that you've been living out for the last 30 or 40 years. You can reprogram and you can say, hey, there's another way. There's another story. It's your story. And then you'll have the confidence to speak about it, to then help inspire others that are around you. And you're lifting the vibration. If we're all in a state of love and a state of authenticity, no one's going to touch us, because we're creating the lives that we're supposed to create. We're creator beings. If you're in that system, you aren't creating anything. You're creating someone else's dream. How about we turn our back on that and create our own dreams? And that's going to be the difference in the world.
I love that. Yeah, I'm a big believer that we create our own reality, especially after reading The Biology of Belief by Dr. Bruce Lipton. I love this book because he goes into like the scientific way that like this is actually the truth, right? Through quantum physics, we all know that now we know that everything is made up of atoms, but below that, everything is made up of quantum particles, which is really just energy, meaning that my thoughts, me, the computer screen, Jason, the painting behind him, our microphone, it's all the same stuff. It's all energy. So when we speak, we're literally creating something. When we think about something, we are creating something. So, what they really want us to do is feel like we're stuck, feel like we're stuck in this cycle of pain and misery, because it perpetuates that cycle, that system of control. And I love the fact that Nathan talked about getting out of that fear mind state, because that fear mind state keeps you in that short-term thinking, that short-term self-sabotage mode, right? Where they're trying to put us in that fear state, whether it is through caffeine. What does the fear state do? It heightens our cortisol levels. It brings us into that fight or flight response mode where we're not thinking logically. We're not thinking, how is this going to affect me down the road if I'm, drinking Dorito and eating Doritos and drinking Mountain Dew every night, right? That we're not thinking about that. We're just thinking about the next dopamine hit we can get, the next short-term pleasure we can get. Now they have, you're sick. Oh, here's a pill, magic pill. You're scared of a virus. Here's a little nice injection for you. Everything's easy. Everything is that quick fix, but that's not the way life works. And we need to get out of that short-term thinking if we want to create something better for ourselves. And really, it's getting out of that fear mind state. It's stop polluting your body, and stop putting in the things into your body that are keeping you stuck. And allow yourself to move forward.
Yeah, I mean, I was holding on to something. Bryce was talking about being depressed. Mm-hmm. And myself, I was depressed and suicidal when I was in university. And I was eating very poorly, but I was executing the programs, right? I was mimicking the most repetitive content. And of course, when you're a kid, they will purposely, it's not an accident, purposely riddle your mind in sort of the shows of preteens or teens, shows about going to university and drinking alcohol. And they do that purposely. This is a very old group that organizes all our media for us. They know the most powerful man is a man that just, steps into his testosterone, starts getting intelligence. That's why they dumb us down. And that's why they're, flooding the media with all this repetitive content about drinking alcohol. So I was drinking alcohol. I thought that sort of life was of a man was about sex, because we were overly sexualized. So I was doing the steroids to kind of trying to find my pecking, my position in the male pecking order. So I was polluting my body with alcohol, polluting my body with steroids. I didn't know anything about diet and nutrition. So I was eating all the foods that the same group organizes for us. They're all sprayed with poison. They all include poisonous additives and preservatives. So of course I was depressed. Was there something wrong with me? Was it a malfunction? Was it a defect? Absolutely not. Because as soon as I changed and said, you know what, I think this, what we call depression, is my body telling me, like, you can't keep doing this. So I started to back out of it and listen to my body, and it would give me the key emotional feedback. So I'd stop drinking. It'd make me a little bit happier. Like I'd stop a couple nights a week. And then I'd stop the steroids. And by the time I stopped everything, even though I was really suicidal, I never put anything to my wrist or made a noose or anything. So no disrespect to anybody that's walked down the road that far as a man. But I felt like, I don't want to leave anymore. Maybe I should just kill myself. And as soon as I ate well, it went away right away. And it went away so rapidly and so wholly, like it completely left, to the point where I got interviewed And someone had to remind me that I was suicidal at one time. They're like, yeah, I was. I forgot, because it was gone. And there was no defect in me. So if there's a man out there that's depressed, get on one of our email systems, focus, know that the depression is a very advanced intellectual communication pathway from the body, trying to let you know that you're off the path a bit, that your life's in jeopardy, probably long term, and it loves you enough to give you this sad and depressed feedback to try and steer you. Like, it doesn't know your language. There's like 15,000 languages ever recorded. I think there's 3,500 languages on the earth today. It doesn't know how to really talk to you, but it knows how to give you emotional feedback. And if you are out there as a man and you are depressed, just know that it's probably because you're poisoning yourself. And the programs to make you run after poison like it's Olympic sport, it all comes from the media. So healing the whole complex of what makes us attracted to sticking poison in our mouth. That's why you got to work with a self-sabotage coach, because you're not going to quit this programming. For you to commit soft kill suicide is the most dominant program in all media, and it's all on purpose.
Yeah, agreed 100%. Couldn't have said it any better. One of the things too to add to that I sort of talk about a lot is a man's purpose, and I'm always reiterating that and pushing it out there. And a lot of times I'll get guys even message me to say, I don't know what my purpose is. Like, what do you keep talking about that? But really, if I was to boil it right down, the purpose is to take control of what you're doing. That's a purpose. To stop getting toxic things in your body. You start to think a little clearer. And then, like Jason said, those feelings of depressed feelings and stuff will go away. So that's what I would say to most men, if you're listening right now, is you need to have a purpose, and the purpose should be you. If you're not in a relationship and you're looking, you're wanting to have that meaningful relationship with somebody, finding purpose in yourself first is going to attract that. It's not run out and be sleeping around and doing all those things for immediate sort of childlike, 5-minute pleasure. It's the purpose is to work on yourself. And, I had a situation where I did have a client fairly recently, and he was at the bottom for sure. But just even talking to him once and getting him on, going towards working with me, he started making changes. And it was literally, years of not doing it. But as soon as he started to work and understand what was going on, it was very quick, very quick. I was so surprised. But just to reiterate what Jason said, reach out to one of us to start that conversation, because you'd be amazed at what can start to happen when you start to think consciously, right?
Absolutely. And it can be so quick. I'm working with some youth clients at the moment, and and one's 18 and one's 20. It's like, I see their potential, and they couldn't see their potential. But in a matter of 5 minutes that I was working with them the last couple of weeks, they've skyrocketed because they can see their potential. We help you see your own potential. We give you the tools to go away and live your best life, to shed those emotions, to shed the fear. Like these two young women that I'm working with at the moment, they're super powerful. And now that they've realized it, my God, look out, Australia, because these two are coming. And that's everyone. Once we can see your potential, as soon as you jump on, walk in the door, have a chat with us, I see your potential, but then we can help you see your own. And once you see your own, the life you want's yours. You just got to remove those things that are holding you back. And if it's the porn, if it's the alcohol, if it's the gambling, the smoking, the vaping, any of these things, if that's all holding you back, well, then there's a younger version of you that was programmed to think that this is safe. Well, we help you reprogram to be like, well, chasing your dreams is safe. Being the best version of yourself is safe. We see your potential and we help you see your own. And you can look in the mirror and say, shit, I love the way I look now. I'm not going to run away from the mirror anymore. I've been going to the gym for the last 3 or 4 months. Jason told me in my second session, I don't push weights, but weights are awesome. Well, I've finally learnt that now, Jason, and I can sit here and say that my body is literally being what I saw 12 months ago when I had my second session with you. My body now, it's incredible, and I'm looking after it. I'm not having toxic whey protein. I'm not drinking tap water. I'm eating organic food, drinking coconut water, looking after the vessel that I've been given. And the improvements have been incredible. And as Jason also told me, I'm not training as hard as I thought I had to either. And there's still improvement here. Like, we can all do this, but we're programmed not to. We're programmed to stay stuck, stay still. Well, we're here to reprogram you to get out of that stuckness and become who you're supposed to become, because the version of myself that I see in the mirror now, I don't want to run away from that guy. I want to be that guy 24/7. It's unreal and it's super powerful. And I just thank you, Jason, for telling me to go to the gym 12 months ago. It only took me 8 months later to start.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
Because, you know, we all know it takes time to get there. Go ahead, Tanner.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with what Bryce and Nathan were saying about, you know, having that vision and that purpose, because, you know, for me, the reason why I kept going back to the marijuana and was because I didn't have anything else I was looking forward to. You know, I didn't have a clear goal. And I think there's like statistics on it where like maybe like under 3% of the population has actually clear goals written down, which is astonishing when you think about it, because really goals are so important in your life. You know, sure, we might have some like just picture in our head of, oh, I wish I had a 6-pack, or I wish I was strong, or I wish I, you know, could just go live on a beach the rest of my day. But actually having a clear goal and then breaking those down into small achievable steps was really important for me, because, you know, that big goal can be scary. It can be a dash. It can add more fear into your life. But if you just break it down, like, hey, you know, I might want a 6-pack, but all I need to do is just do some like 2 minutes of sit-ups a day, and I can start moving towards that goal, right? And you can start ramping it up as you get more comfortable. It really doesn't take long. You don't have to go out and buy a gym membership to start working out. I literally work at home. I don't have any gym membership. And I just do push-ups. I do sit-ups. I do things like that. And my body is getting stronger every single day. And, you know, sure, at some point when I want to push myself, you know, to a farther point, I can easily go to a gym membership, but I already have that routine built in. And I think for a lot of men, you know, they get scared and they're like, oh, I don't want to spend money on this gym membership. They end up buying a gym membership, like never going, because it can become like intimidating, right? You have to spend all that time driving to the gym, all the time driving back, when really at the end of the day, what's important is that you just move your body a little bit. You know, you just take that time to invest into yourself. It doesn't take long. Look at yourself in the mirror and say, I love you, right? Mm-hmm. I know the very first time I ever told myself I loved myself was working with Jason. I felt really weird about it. I got like this weird feeling, but after I told myself it like 3 times, it felt better. It felt good, right? And we all need to love ourselves on that level. And really, what is loving your, like, telling yourself you love yourself is great, but showing yourself you love yourself by not putting that toxic garbage into your body, by saying no to the caffeine, by saying no to the alcohol, by saying no to the marijuana, by saying no to the things that are killing your dreams. At the end of the day, and if you don't have dreams, you need to sit down and give yourself the time to build those dreams, right? That's another thing that, you know, I help my clients with, and that Jason helped me as well with, was creating my dreams, right? Taking that time to invest into yourself, even if it's just 5 to 10 minutes a day, can literally change your life. And, you know, I saw it with myself because I was depressed myself. And I saw it with a client I just recently worked with, where they were literally thinking about, they worked on a tall building. They thought about multiple times a day climbing to the top of that building and jumping off. And after working with me, he now, he's told me that he just wakes up feeling amazing every single day. And what did I help him do? I just helped him understand why he's not feeling good, right? I helped him realize that the food he's putting into his body. I helped him realize that the thoughts that was going through his head, that he wasn't a broken individual, that he was working perfectly as he was designed. And that changed his life, on a drastic level. And it's something so simple, but it's something very powerful that we all can do. And so I'm very grateful that I learned this information from Jason and that we're all teaching it to other people, because I'm a big believer that, once you change yourself, you can go out and change other people, and be leaders. And that's really what I think this roundtable is trying to achieve, is trying to help more men become leaders in this world when it so desperately needs it.
Yeah, a lot of people too, men, they might not know their purpose because it's a pretty vague and it's a pretty wide funnel, right? Like, what is your purpose? And I tell people, start on writing down what your purpose isn't, like what it's not. Like, is it your purpose to make someone else's dreams come true? Is it your purpose to sit in front of the TV for the free hours that you're away from the job you don't like? Is it your purpose to work that job you don't like, have your pension or job be used against you as a fulcrum to volunteer for poisoning? I mean, it's easy to see what your purpose isn't. So if you don't know what your purpose is, find out what your purpose isn't. Like, my purpose is not being that person who works a job to make someone else's dream come true and, gives half of his income to a crime syndicate that are thousands of years old, that takes your money and buys bullets and a gun to blow my own head off. I'm not into that. That's not my purpose. I'm not going to feather someone else's bed with my efforts. I think I'm smart enough to do that. And I used to work a job too, and I knew that although I didn't want to work that job, I was a waiter at Eastside Mario's. I don't know if that restaurant is still even alive. I'm sure it is in this toxic-based control grid. I'm sure it's thriving. But I used to be a waiter at Eastside Mario's, and then I used to work at Eastside Mario's from 10, morning shift to put all the plates on the table. And then I would work till, say, 2. I'd have a fast meal and get on my motorcycle and go work at a mattress factory from 3 in the afternoon to 11 at night. And I do that 5 to 6 days a week. This was in the summers in the university. I would try and work hard to, be the best slave I could. I was still getting good marks. But in the end, I knew, this isn't my passion. This isn't my purpose. And even though if there's a man out there right now who's in one of these jobs, it's easier to deal with a job you don't like, knowing that maybe in a couple years you can grind your way out of it. And everybody on this call can help people grind their way out of it by telling, showing and demonstrating to men and women what's important, how to grind out of that job. And then if you know that maybe in 2 years that you might be out of this job and be on your way to a better life, then you can start, the next 2 years on the job, it doesn't feel like you're carrying a big anchor around your neck. And so it's very important to have these dreams and goals and make sure your dream machine is up and running. Because once your dream dies, you die. And you just walk around dead till they put you in the graveyard and your heart stops. The day you stop dreaming is the day you're dead. So dream of a better day, dream of something better. And when you're going to go out and climb Success Mountain, yeah, your body better be in shape. Your mind better be in shape. So it always starts with that base foundations that we're all talking about, is stop using your mouth as a garbage compactor. And if you are using it as a garbage compactor, they did that to you by putting in all the repetitive content, all the advertising about fast food, and it normalizes it. Eating poison is not normal, even though a lot of people do it. And it's beneficial to no one except to the people who rule you through the media. Like they maintain their power by destroying your power. And they don't have the force to come and hold you down on your own lawn and pour the wine and pizza down your throat. They're very weak. They have to use psychological manipulation so that you poison yourself by your own hand, because then you're confused about who's the enemy. Well, the enemy's still them. It's just working through you. And if you can start understanding how the system of oppression and potential destruction works, then you can get your power back, because it won't be siphoned off by these black Hollywood magicians that come out of your screen.
Yeah, I mean, that's it in a nutshell for sure. And, you know, a lot of what we're talking about too is trying to build that network of people to be a mentor. So, you know, speaking to guys who have kids, you know, if you're not going to do it for yourself, you should at least be trying to teach it to your children, right? The next generation. And what better way to do it than to lead by example? And, you know, we talk about someone's purpose. Shifting your identity is very important, right? What would a healthy person do, right? If you're someone who's having trouble eating and you're not sure, oh, there's so many diets, there's so much confusion out there. Well, that's another thing that's there on purpose, right? It's there to confuse you, to be like, well, they said too much cholesterol is going to hurt me, and too much saturated fat is going to raise my cholesterol. And then now they're saying, you know, this eating meat is good. And then, so it's just a confusion agenda. And really what people need to do is they need to take back the power by just, you know, everyday little tiny steps. You know, if you want to, you know, if you have a goal of writing a book, write 10 pages a day. And so that's kind of what we teach is, you know, biting off pieces of the elephant instead of trying to eat the full elephant. And if you're not doing that, reach out. We can definitely help you get started.
Well said. It's also the self-worth too. People want to do these things, but they don't believe that they're worthy enough to actually go away and do it. And that's more programming from the people that orchestrate all of this. But it's also, you might have had parents that didn't believe in themselves either. So you've picked that up. It's like, we all have these awesome dreams as children. I know I wanted to be a writer and do all these things, but I was programmed to write what the rest of the kids were writing, and I didn't want to write any of that shit. So I lost my passion for writing. As soon as I had a session with Jason, a session with a couple other of my mentors, I developed my own self-worth, but also my passion for writing came back, and I wrote my book in 6 weeks because I was back. And now writing is a passion of mine, but that's not just the only passion I have. Discover the passion for helping people, passion for being the best version of me that I can possibly be for my future wife and my future children. It's like, if I'm to go and pick up that phone and watch that porn, it's like, hang on a minute, what would my future wife say? What would my future children say? What would my future self say that's already a father? Because that version already exists. Those people are there. That's just a few years away. It's like, we'll put myself in that moment and ask that question. What would they say? Because our kids are watching every single thing we do, and they have a subconscious mind as well. And if we're destroying ourselves, they destroy themselves. And this cycle continues. How about all of us men right now between the ages of God knows how old, 13 to 100, let's all become better so that those around us and our children become better, and we can turn this ship around. Because right now, as Jason calls it, the Titanic's sinking. How about we turn it around and face it in the right direction towards the dreams and the life that we want, so that those that rule us don't have their power anymore. The only reason why they have their power is because we've completely destroyed our own. We take our power back, they're out of here. And once our power's back, no one's going to be able to rule us again. And we can turn this ship around by starting to face our dreams and start doing them and start being that person that we all see. If you're watching this, there's a healthier version of you that already exists. Lay in bed tonight, vision that person that you want to be. You might have big arms, you might be tanned, you might be looking a bit younger, you might be 10 or 20 pounds lighter or kilos lighter. Merge with that person because you're already setting the blueprint. The blueprint's there. Become that person that you envision. You'll eventually shed what you need to shed to become that person. It starts and ends with you, and it starts and ends with your habits. How about we have better habits so then those around us can have better habits too, and we can turn this ship around, because right now it's sinking towards the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think envisioning is super important. It's actually a practice I've built into my daily life. Every morning and every night, before I go, as I wake up from my sleep and as I go to bed, I envision what I want to be creating in my life. And it's actually a technique that a lot of top athletes use as well. They envision themselves going out like on the ice, Wayne Gretzky or whoever it may be, and they envision themselves winning that, passing and shooting the goal. And so it's something that you can use in your own life, and I found it very powerful in my own life as well, is that envisioning process, right? And why? Because your mind loves those envisionings, loves those visions that you put in your mind. That's why the television is so powerful in getting you to do what you want, what they want you to do, because it's the number one like brainwashing device, as Jason talks about all the time. And as I've found out in my own life, once I cut out the television, it's been a game changer, because I'm not giving myself those visions. I'm not telling myself visions, lies of like what my life should be. Instead, I'm providing myself those visions every night, every morning and every night. And the reason why you do it when you wake up in the morning, when you go to bed at night, is because that's when your mind is in a theta state. Your brain goes into a certain brainwave state when you're waking up, when you're going to bed. And so it's an extremely powerful time to reprogram your mind. So anyone who's listening, if you're able to do something or take away something from this talk, is to, just as you're going to bed and as you're waking up in the morning, envision what you want your life to be like. And see yourself there. Feel what it's like. Feel the sun beating down on you. Feel the warmth of the person maybe that you want to be spending your life with. See yourself putting good food into your body. See yourself creating something better for yourself. And I want to touch on something else as well, because Bryce talked about it, Nathan's talked about it, Jason somewhat alluded to it as well, is, our youth. I have a 1-year-old, his name's Oliver. And every single day I think about, what kind of example am I setting for him, and what kind of world am I leaving for him, right? That's part of my envisioning process, is creating something better for my son, because I don't want the future generations to be left into this shithole. It's a beautiful world, don't get me wrong, but there is a lot of darkness that is we as men have allowed into this world. And really nothing's going to change if we don't stand up and put an end to it. And one way I'm definitely planning on making sure my son is not part of that system is not putting him to the school system. Taking him out of the school system, because I agree, as Nathan's talked about, as I think Jason talked about as well, the school system is where your dreams go to die. It's where you get told what you believe in is not good enough, that you have to sit down and listen to what someone else is doing, and you're building their dream. So it's part of, again, creating your vision. I don't want that for my son, to be told, for him to be doing something that is not within his vision. And so I plan on doing unschooling and both me and my wife agreed on it. And that's one way that, we are not going to be contributing to the system. And I think that's something all parents can do, is to take your kids out of the school system, or find something that is going to be better alternative for them. Because I promise you that the school is not doing what you think it's doing. it is programming them on the highest levels. And it's a big source of, you know, why I was depressed in my life. It's a big source of why people's dreams and goals and aspirations just go down the window and, you know, actually go down the toilet and just get flushed into, you know, the sewer system, because at the end of the day, people are getting told that their dreams don't matter.
Yep.
So that's what I had to say.
Yeah, and I think it's important for everybody listening to know, yeah, they attack our physical strength through the poisoning, but there's mental poisoning too, where if a person wants to get stronger and doesn't know that there's they have a psychic ability to go after what I call the selves with an S: self-esteem, self-respect, self-confidence, self-love. And when those things get removed because they say you're born a sinner, and I'm a spiritual man. I like the basic foundations of religion, ethics, and morality. But this group has their hand in everything. There's not one aspect of our society that is not being infiltrated by this dark ancient group. So whether they tell you you're born a sinner, and then you'd look the same, you could be working out, your body looks the same, but your dignity is gone, your self-esteem, you think there's something wrong with you. And they're going to take that energy and they're going to suck it out like a magician. And they might even say, like in biology, you're just like a random organism born by complete happenstance, no direction or purpose, and you're flying on a rock through outer space, and you're like, oh, it's not a good story. It doesn't sound that empowering, right? So they have certain ways to just kind of get into you on a psychic level and then take your power out. Like even when they said, look, you know, your breath, it could kill someone's grandma. And so psychically, you're like, my breath is a weapon, which means I generate the breath, which by deductive reasoning means, I'm a bad person. So they're very, very clever on how to remove your psychic power, which will disempower you from getting out of that job you don't like, disempower you from quitting your addiction. Your battery's low. So you're not like, you don't have the resistance fuel to start climbing Success Mountain. So not only do they go at you physically, gentlemen, they go at you mentally, psychically, spiritually, and they know what they're doing. And it's one thing to say, yeah, do this or do that, but the coaching is essential. And, I'll just mention my email address, Jason. You can just email me personally, and just at jason@freedomfromselfsabotage.com, and just put in the title help. Just say help. And then we can start a conversation. I can tell you about I only have 2 programs I run. It's not a big selection. So, and you can pick whatever one you want, or just get on my email system, and I'll slow drip you information about the system that sucks you, drive your power, because it's designed to. And then when you see the tentacles for the first time, you can get the sword out and you can hack them off like Thor hacks off Thanos' arm. And you can do that. And it's about time all the men started throwing the axe around like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think bro. It's a great message, to end it off. I think that's exactly what we want to talk about is, getting men to sort of think with the conscious mind. I think that's the point now we're seeing. If you want to break it down into a simple, easy task, we see subconscious people going around doing what everybody else is doing, thinking that's the norm, thinking that that's the best thing to do for them. And then we have this other group now that's being made aware of, all the nefarious acts that are going on. but starting to think with your conscious mind, right? Starting to think, if I drink too much alcohol, it'll poison me and kill me, but a little each day is okay, right? Everything in moderation. Or and it just it's laughable, right? Or let's go get some medicine from the white coats to make me feel better. And for some reason, years later, I'm feeling worse. But you know what I'll do? I'll go back again. Maybe there's something different they can do, right? So we get that separation now between men out there that are thinking with their conscious mind, and they're starting to build strength in their physical, but also in their mental strength. And it's a powerful thing. It's, I can only say thank you to Jason so much for starting me on this journey that I've come across. And every day for me is a new day to work harder on something. And it's not about perfection. I don't wake up every day and have a perfect day, right? But I can tell you one thing: I'm thinking about what I'm doing. I'm being conscious about what I'm doing, and it helps me avoid any pitfalls, and it helps me to get, I'm almost 50 now, and I'm the strongest I've been in my whole life, and the healthiest. So kudos to Jason for starting that, and now I'm teaching that to my son, who's 10 years old. So it's an amazing thing.
That's awesome, Bryce. Just I'll finish on, we should acknowledge that these people are here. Well, they're not really people if you want to go real woo-woo, but we can acknowledge that this black magic, this invisible force exists. But what we can do is we can acknowledge that they're here. We can forgive ourselves for allowing all this shit to happen, because it happened on our watch, whether we like it or not. But we can all come together into a place of love and forgiveness and forgive these people and forgive ourselves. Not only does that create a huge ripple effect in the universe, it may actually send these pricks away, because if we can acknowledge that they're here, forgive them and forgive ourselves for everything that's happened in the last however long it's been, thousands of years, we can send these people away. That's our power. Fuck, we're powerful. And if we can just look at ourselves in the mirror and realize that if we just say that one word when the next attack comes, just say no and turn your back on them, that is so powerful. Fuck, we are powerful. And if we can realize that, then my goodness, these people, or these, whoever they are, they're not going to be here. Acknowledge them, forgive ourselves, and move forward. Turn our back on shit that's not going to build our best selves, and we can face our dreams, face our pain, because the darkness that exists in the world, and this might be a bit of a home truth for people, but the darkness that exists in the world is our darkness. That's how this universe works. It's our darkness. If we shed our darkness and shed our evil, that sheds theirs. Let's shed our own. Let's clean up our own backyard, as they say, to then clean up the world. And it starts and ends with us. And that's how I'll finish. If anyone wants to email me, I'm nathanselfsabotage@gmail.com. If you're young, if you're old, if you're whoever you are, and you want a way out, I can provide you the way out. I can see your potential. Let's have a free chat on Zoom, and let's get the ball rolling towards your best self. So thank you all for coming today, man. Tanner, you want to leave us with a message?
Yeah, I mean, I think really, whatever you guys do, please just don't let yourself sit in like your own sorrows and just sit there, throwing yourself a pity party. Reach out for help. Do something to start moving forward and get out of it. Because I promise, no matter what you may think, you're not stuck. There is a way forward. There is a way to get out of whatever you may be dealing with in life. And I promise you, on some level, we've almost all been through it, and we can all relate. I think there was all points in our lives where we felt like there was no way forward, and there was, that depression was just building up. But there is a way forward. So I can't stress enough just to reach out for help. All it has to be is just hopping on a Zoom call, and that can literally change your life. So yeah, don't hesitate to reach out to me. My email is ta.dajne@comcast.net. But we'll have all our links down below. So just go to the descriptions, and you can find all of our links. And please just reach out. And I know there is a way forward for you. No matter what you may think, there is a way forward to break free from this. And we need men more than ever to stand up. So please stand up for my child, for the rest of our children, because we can't leave the world like this. You know, we got to make a difference while we're still here. And the more of us that do it, the faster it's going to happen. So.
Yeah.
Well said, Tanner. Well said, Bryce. Good work, Nathan.
Well done,
Thank you,
guys.
guys.
Thank you all for being here. This has been the men's roundtable. I'll look forward to part 3 in the near future. I just want to say thank you for you guys, especially Jason, for giving up your time. I know you're a very busy man now, so thank you all for making the time to jump on and help men and people out there become better. So thank you for giving your time. Thank you for those that are listening and watching wherever in the world you are. If you don't want to email us, send us a DM. Our DMs are always open as well. I know a lot of young people prefer just a DM now. So DM us. We're all here. And let's all become better to attract better. So thank you all. And we'll see you guys again real soon. So cheers.